All right, so we're still on the law of cosines, and here you're given 3 side lengths, so this is the side case. So we're going to draw a picture. Here's A, B, C, so 8, 9, and 7. So in this case, when you have the side, what you want to do is find the measure of the largest angle first. If you find the largest angle, then you won't have to worry about the ambiguous case. So definitely make sure that you do this. So you do have to do that to avoid the ambiguous case. All right, so to find the largest angle, what we're going to do first is set up our law of cosine. So we can't use the law of sines because we have the SSS. So to figure out the largest angle, you just look at what the largest side is. So in this case, the largest angle is going to be B because it's across from the largest side. Okay, so if we want to find angle B, that means we're going to have to use the formula where b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac times the cosine of b. All right, so we're going to plug in what we know here. Now, when you are solving, I want to remind you that the order of operations is going to be very important. So we have 9 squared equals 8 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 8 times 7 times the cosine of b. Okay, so 81 equals 64 plus 49 minus 2 times 8 is 16. 16 times 7 is 112 cosine of b. So last time we were able to plug everything in, but that's because we had something here. Now we are going to have to use the order of operations of solving, and this is the part where people tend to make the most mistakes. So 113 minus 112 cosine of b. So I'm just going to write careful, follow order of operations. Okay, so what people usually do that's incorrect is they subtract these two. But remember, you have to multiply before you can do any kind of subtraction. Think of it like this. If you had, let's say you had 81 equals 113 minus 112x. If you wanted to solve for x, first you'd have to subtract 113 from both sides, right? Then you could divide by negative 112. That's exactly what we're going to have to do here. We're going to have to subtract 113 from both sides. So 81 minus 113 equals negative 32. And that's good that it's negative because you do have the negative in front here. And then we're going to divide that by negative 112. Now again, you don't want to round this off yet. In fact, I'm going to just leave it. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. And when you are finding angle B, the measure of angle B is found by using the inverse cosine of 32 divided by 112. If you already divided that, you could just do second cosine of your answer. Okay, you can also do the cosine inverse of 32 over 112, or even if they were both negative, and you would find that angle B is 73.4 degrees. Yay. Okay, so now you have one angle. Now you have to find the next one. So to find the next one, you can use the law of sines or the law of cosines. Generally, the law of sines is quicker, so that's usually what I use. So we have the sine of 73.4 degrees, that's angle B. So over 9 equals, and then for this it doesn't really matter what order you find the rest in. You have the sine of A over 8. So that means the measure of angle A is the sine inverse of 8 times sine of 73.4 degrees divided by 9. And let's go ahead and do that calculation. So you're going to do the sine inverse, 8 times the sine of 73.4, close the parentheses, divided by 9, and you should get 58.4 degrees. And that's the measure of angle A. And you could use the law of cosines again, but if you've already found two angle measures, the quickest way to find the measure of angle C is to do 180 minus 58.4 minus 73.4, and that will give you 48.2 degrees. Okay, so those are the two cases that you would use the law of cosines for. Example 2 is using the law of cosines but with an application. So it says if the hiker travels at an average speed of 2.5 miles per hour, how long will it take him to travel from the cave to the waterfall? And here's our picture here. Use the diagram below, round to the nearest tenth of an hour. So what do we need to do? What is the problem asking us to do? So we have to find how long it's going to take the hiker. The first thing we would do is draw a picture. That picture is already given to us. Then we're going to have to find the distance using the law of cosines. Okay, so it says how long will it take him to travel from the cave to the waterfall? Okay, so find the distance using law of cosines from the cave to the waterfall. And then once we find the distance, we can calculate the time. Okay, so find the time it takes to travel from the cave to the waterfall. All right, and then to do that, we're going to use a very popular formula. So remember, you can calculate that the distance equals the rate multiplied by the time. Okay, so the distance equals the rate times time. That's an equation that you've seen before. If I want to solve this for the time, I divide both sides by r. So the time would be the distance divided by the rate. So once I find the distance, I already know what my rate is. My rate is 2.5 miles per hour. So once I know the distance, I can calculate the time pretty easily. Okay, so waterfall to the cave. Okay, so I can think of this as like my A, my B, and my C. So across here, this would be little a, little b, little c. And because I want to find the distance of A, I can say a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc, times the cosine, not sine, of A. All right, so then a squared is going to equal 4 squared, which we know 4 squared is 16, plus c squared, which is 3 squared. That's going to be 9, minus 2, b is 4, c is 3. So 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. This is the cosine, 71.7 degrees. 16 plus 9 is 25, minus 24. Cosine of 71.7 degrees. Okay, so I can calculate that, and then I am going to take the square root of both sides. Again, make sure that you don't subtract those first. You can put that all into your calculator at one time. Don't forget to do the square root. So 25 minus 24 times the cosine of 71.7. Okay, so then we'll get about 4.18. And we are going to round to the nearest tenth of an hour when we do that. This is going to be the distance, the miles. So that's step 1. So this is the distance in miles from the waterfall to the cave. And then our step 2, our time, is the distance over the rate, which will be our 4.8 miles divided by the 2.5 miles per hour. And then if you can just leave this in your calculator to get the most exact answer as possible, and then divide to get your this is 1.67, so that'll be about 1.7 hours would be the time. Even if you did the 4.18, you should still get the same rounded answer, the 1.7 hours. All right, good job. And then there's one more page for Heron's formula.